Welcome back to Luca the podcast. Today, I'm honored to have right here one of the most incredible personality of our industry. I don't really know how to define him. He's a cocktail creator, he's a brand ambassador, he's a disruptive character, but above all, I think he's an independent thinker. And that's, I think, what's key right here. You may know him for certain project that he took on, the Vagabond project, Bartenders Indie, and so and so and so. His name is Danil Nevsky, and today we are here really pleased to know what has been his past, his present, and maybe he will share something about his future in his own way. So Danil, welcome to Luca's podcast.
Thank you for having me on the Luca the podcast.
You say better than me. Something is wrong with me then. I'm really pleased, and here we are in this incredible spot at the Miiro Borneta in Barcelona. A really fantastic spot. Well, usually every story starts from the beginning. I know that you speak Russian and you are Russian, but you've been moving to the UK. So would you like to tell us a little bit what has been your background and how everything began?
So I have a very complicated background because I was born in Belgorod, which is the first city after the Ukrainian border. Half my family is from Ukraine, Kharkov and Uzhgorod, cities that no one gives a fuck about or has ever heard of. The point is, this was the Soviet Union times. Like, I am a Soviet Union hangover baby. So anyone who's from that area, it's like, the border is like a new thing. Does that make sense? My parents were born when there was no border. So I'm essentially like an Eastern European Slavic baby. My great-grandfathers, somebody was from Poland, somebody was from the Crimea area. There was the more like, they were the Cossacks. So they were like horse people, nomadics. So, but this is, everybody was a socialist to survive. But long story short, born in Belgorod, then we moved to Ukraine when I was 4. Then it was the 90s, not a great time. My dad, my stepfather, but he raised me as my dad. And he had him and his army buddies, because it was national service back then. You had 2 years, very fun. Doesn't happen in Europe anymore, for now.
Thanks God.
For now.
Get ready.
Well, no, but Italians, I think your father probably did national service.
Yes,
probably.
I was 1 year before mine. It is meant to be the last one that obligatory meant to do it, and then from my
every man used to do this. And basically, during the 90s, they had this contraband business that they would go across the border to Hungary or Poland, call up Moscow, because the markup on Western goods was super high, and they would say, what vodka or what perfume or what cigarettes are we selling today? And they would say, oh, Smirnoff. They're like, put the label Smirnoff. They would drive it back, pay the border guards, and sell in Moscow for 1,000, 2,000% markup. That was the business, because everybody had to make money somehow. And so we lived on the border of Hungary and Ukraine, and they were doing that. That was the money. But it was not a very safe business, because it was not a very legal business. And so my mother got very worried, because it didn't seem like things were getting better in that part of the world at the time. So she said, listen, we got to get out of here. Got to get out. So he sold his share of the illegal business, bribed everybody they need to bribe, and we moved to London when I was 7.5. So from 7.5, it was London till I was 15. So it was East London, Romford, Ilford, Barking, Dagenham.
Where I live, basically.
There you go.
East London. So
that's where I went.
I like it. You're my local there.
That's where I went to school.
All right, babe. All right, gays. All right.
I sounded a lot more like a geezer when I was younger. And then when I was 15, my mother, who was in the oil and gas industry during the Soviet Union, managed to get somehow her degree like equated to the UK style. So she immediately got a job in Scotland. So at the age of 15, we suddenly would go from lower class, immigrant class, to middle class, right? So we go, boom, we have our own house. Wow, we have 2 cars. So it was kind of interesting. But I go from living in London, where I was in I was in an old boys' school, actually, in Romford, very unusual for like 3 years, to a mixed school in Scotland, from going from one of the biggest cities in the world, one of the major cities in the world, to Aberdeen, which is 200,000 people, and I have
Everybody knows each other.
everyone's a sheepshagger, and I have an English accent, so I'm even worse. You know, in London I was Russian. In Scotland I'm English.
Oh, I see. I see.
And I'm not in the city, I'm in the Shire, so I'm even worse. So, and yeah, Scotland was 9 years, and that was where I learned to bartend. That's when I got into hospitality. And that's where I guess a lot of my dark sense of humor comes from, paired with already the Slavic dark sense of humor. So it was like black on black on black.
I love it. I love your sense of humor. It makes me laugh every single time. But what really brought you into hospitality? Like, it was a feeling, it was a person, it was a time, it was a necessity. It seems to be that you're coming from...
I love Italians, man. You make everything romantic, man. All right. Every Italian hospitality stories with this. My grandfather, my father, a family member, because they're all mafia. They all get a job. You're like in a local trattoria or something, osteria, helping out someone in family, getting no money. It's basically like children slavery in Italy. And then you're helping out a family member, serving coffees or whatever, right?
Yes.
But then they make it sound like Michelangelo or God came and picked them and made them whatever.
Like the angel. The
For
angel.
sure, the parted.
Yeah.
Very simple. I was 15. I wanted to get laid, and I had no money.
Necessity.
I said, Dad, I want to take a girl to the movies. And he's like, all right, well, you need some money. Like, give me some money. We're middle class now. He's like, no. Your mother's middle class. You're poor. Go get a job.
You poor as fuck. You need to go out there and you need to work your ass off.
It's an immigrant mentality.
That's
go
what
get
it
a
is.
Fucking job.
What has been your first place where you've been working?
3-star. Everyone remembers their first place. I was in a 3-star hotel as a wedding waiter, the Penguins. So, you know, like white shirt, crap vest, black tie, clip-on tie, Scottish weddings. Everybody's wearing a skirt. It's gender neutral. No one's wearing underwear.
No pants. No pants is a fact.
And
yes.
it's 5 courses, 300 of, you know, those special plates with the Parma ham.
Yes,
and melon that's unripe.
Yes, we all know. Okay, I got it. Everyone has their own first time. And how your background from Ukraine, being at the border, then London, and then Scotland, like all this mixed up influence your style at, you know, being hospitable, because I guess that's the whole point.
I think it's a result of nurture. You know, like people say nature versus nurture. You know, I think I would say why I think Italians are amazing, to be honest. Some cultures have hospitality almost in their veins, right? South of Spain is much more hospitable than north of Spain. Italy in general, I would say,
south more than the north.
But generally you have it in your blood. Slovakians, you know, Czechs are quite hospitable, I would say.
Are. Yes.
When you go to Eastern Europe, they can be a little bit more cold, I would say. For me, I think it was a combination of my mother wanted me to do acting. So I studied acting for about 8 years, which means I was much easier to talk to people than most. B, it was Scotland. In Scotland, you have to, like, the pub is not just a pub, it's a community. It's the same in all of the UK, but the smaller the village, the more important the pub is as a community space, right?
Yes.
I think every country has their own version of that. Like when you and your father go to a local place to have your €1 burnt 20-year-old espresso, but they chat together, you know what I mean?
Is the feeling you have.
Is the place where everybody meets and talks and has a moment,
yes.
Right? So in Scotland, it was like, I could chat to everybody, and the necessity of having a stage, because I was raised almost to try and be a theater actor. You could always reinvent yourself. And I think that goes well with hospitality. Every day you meet new people, you can literally be whatever you want to be, which is great. B, in Scotland, if you I think, and also in the UK, I would say, if you don't have chat, it doesn't matter how good you are at drinks or how fast you are, you will not survive. Nowadays, I cannot be as strong to make that claim. But back in the day, if you don't have banter, if you don't have crack, if you don't have chat, whatever you want to call it, you're going to get torn to pieces by the guests, right? That was the school, right?
Yes.
And I think I think it's just a combination of all those things. I don't think I was born with anything. I don't think that necessarily that trip impacted much. I think it was just a existing attitude and character in the right places at the right time. But I was too much of a child to really. It wasn't like I was a genius who had this plan. I'm going to become a creator 30 years from now.
But I think, from my point of view, know you a little bit on the outside, and now know you, what you've been doing, and etc. I believe you're a great communicator for one reason: you simplify so many things for people to understand it. In our industry, as many others, everything it gets so complicated. It's so boost up, like of this. That is not necessary. Like, say the things as they are. And that's why you communicating this extremely well. And I believe as well, from my point of view now that you mentioned, that the fact that you've been studying acting, it really helped to emphasize and give a bit of love to what you're saying. And, it's not just about what you're saying, but it's how you're saying.
That's true.
Do you agree?
Well, yeah. Well, intonation, body language, the way you do. I think one of my favorite things was I did a body language class once, and a lot of it was about everyone's favorite gestures, like whatever, right? You come into the bar. I'm the host. Hello, my name is Luca. I have a reservation, whatever. Oh yeah, cool. Your table's over there. Like the hand is like this, right? Oh, hi, your table's just over here, right? Showing the neck, even though it's like this, it's an old physical mammal-like, animal-like. You're being like the way the dogs show you their belly. So it's a submissive thing. So you're being nice. You're open-handed. Like this. Your table's over there. Open palm. All these different things. You study this in ballet, which my parents made me do for 1 year, but physically you can tell.
You didn't think?
No, not so much. I'm like a pear. I'm not so much like a stick.
Well, I would like to see you ballet with me, dress up as.
Yeah, if you want to see 10 broken toes.
Next level.
For sure. Let me lose 50 kilos. But this is it. A lot of these things, I find them fascinating. Just, when you sit even... My favorite thing is why I love Italy is you go in the summer to like one of the seaside towns and you watch the old Italian leathers and the gestures and the way how every single hand movement has a certain minchia, oh, that's pretty tasty, right? If you do like this, oh, that's pretty good. But oh, minchia, so all of these things are beautiful and they communicate a lot of different things. I think I like to pay attention to them. I don't know if it's just my attitude because I find it interesting. But I think all of those things are intertwined. I don't know where I'm going with this. I've just gone in my own direction, really.
No, but it's fantastic what you're saying. You're talking about the body language, which the things that I say as a great communicator.
Yeah.
And that's fantastic. There is a question before we're going to jump on a slightly different topic is there anything that you are missing from your time in London and in Ukraine? Or there is something that is really memorable with you that you feel like, I want to share it because that thing, he made me who I am today. Or partially, he's what I am today. Because right now you live in Barcelona.
Yeah. Well, I think, I've thought about this a little bit because it makes for a good Instagram reel. But I never came up with anything. Have you started, okay, how old are you?
37.
37, right? Have you noticed, because I've started noticing this, that our life, when you start to try and remember moments from when you're 5, 6, 7, 10, 15, 18, whatever, you sometimes remember these moments that were so bright and so big in your life that they impacted you a lot at 20 or at 25. But because our lives, I feel, are quite eventful, right now, they've become a part of who I am, but I don't think they've really, I continue evolving. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes, I see.
I don't think there
is a specific thing that actually made you this.
Well, for example, I had a Sicilian girlfriend. She broke my heart. I said never more Italian women in my life. And then I found my current wife. And that very hurtful moment that had happened had led me to fall in love and have a baby and be very happy, in this relationship. Working for the biggest drug importer of cocaine in Northeast Scotland in his nightclub, and for 3 years.
All right. Is he still alive?
He's alive. His name's Kirk. We don't talk anymore. I sometimes text his wife. We're cool.
He got caught up? I want to know that.
No. He's fine. He was never touching anything. He was
right.
just transit.
All right.
His dad was a fisherman in Fraserburgh, and so the fish doesn't smell too much.
There's always a fisherman when there's some smuggling thing.
Long story short, working for a guy who had gout because he was only eating well-done steak and no vegetables and doing steroids because he wanted to look like this, and shaved his head every single day because he was ginger and he was bullied as a kid for being ginger. So he shaved everything because he didn't, was like a trauma for him. But I worked for him for 3 years, and I came in there as a 20-year-old bar supervisor. We had supervisors back in the day, not senior bartenders or head bartenders, supervisors from style bars, if you remember those.
Yes, indeed.
But working for this guy for 3 years, when I came into that interview, he said he took this interview and he said, "You're too young, too inexperienced, and you don't have the credentials to work for me as an assistant manager in a nightclub. You're 19. I was like, cool. But I work hard and I'm not going to lie to you. And I hear you're very dangerous. And he's like, and I fuck it. I thought I'll try. He said, you're the first person who was honest. Okay, 3 rules. Never take drugs. Never lie to me. Always tell me the truth and never steal. The last guy who stole, I beat him up, broke his legs. I'm like, cool.
It seems fair enough.
No, 3 years, worked for him, made a shit ton of mistakes, never lied to him, always agreed to it. Personal license holder for the whole place. Not a single anything on my record. He just wanted a club to go party in because he was banned from every other club in the city. Every mistake I made, he always forgave me, gave me shit. Like, don't get me wrong. But he was the guy who said, I want a new cocktail menu. And I said, well, how the fuck? I'm on £7 an hour. I'm not to go to make a new menu. I have to go to London or something, buy books. He's like, how much do you need? I'm like, well, there's a bar show in Manchester, Northern Restaurant and Bar. I probably need like 3K to buy stuff. He's like, here you go. Probably the only reason I got into cocktails was because of his drug money.
Well, that is a good reason to be in.
There you go.
You turn the bad into good, right?
Well, yeah, I'm Robin Hood.
Robin Hood of our days.
Robin Hoodski.
It sounds perfect. Well, so, I mean, your words are feeling really passionate about it. And the way how you talk these days about hospitality, about mixology, about cocktails, about bartenders is really passionate. You've been taking on many different projects. You start, as you just explained to us, in Scotland. Like, that has been your first full experience, let's say, in a way.
I would say I'm definitely School of Scotland.
So, okay, so you did your elementary school in hospitality, let's say.
Yeah.
Now, you're ready for the next step. What has been your next step and how the Vagabond project fit in between the two?
Okay.
Or how far it is?
So back then it was all about competitions, right? 2012, 2011, 2010, I did every single competition that could possibly happen. I still believe that competitions are the easiest way for a bartender to travel, to gain a network, to meet people, I don't think the competitions are actually getting any easier. I've judged a few now that I realized that if I had to do those back then, I would be terrible. But I think that the bartender's approach to them has changed. Like for me, I did competitions versus Steve Schneider. I did competitions versus Simone. I did competitions versus Jan from Panda. All of the people now who are winning everything in the world. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, he's from London. He's in the world's best bar. How the fuck am I going to beat him? Well, I have to go all out. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But then they...
Nothing to lose.
Yeah, fuck it. Like, I'm not going to come in there going, he's going to win. Fuck that. No, I'm going to make sure that I'm going to do my best to make sure I try and beat this person because what better way? And no, I did not beat them. But they remember you. And they see you as someone, they're the ones giving you then contacts and work and blah, blah, blah. So long story short, or short story long, competitions, networking, did well in 2012. The last 42 below Grand Prix, I went to New Zealand.
Wow.
I did the last one ever with Jamie Mack and Megs Miller. Megs was in Bramble and Jamie was Jamie. And
Stanek Kastanek as well. It was there.
Z was the year before. This was the last one ever. Schneider won that year with Beckley Franks.
Oh yes, I remember. My God, that competition! Everybody talked about it back in the days.
It was the last, the most right now, if there was social media existed, they would be canceled in 10 seconds. The shit that happened during that competition.
Your
And-
life, it was at risk
Oh,
at every
100%.
moment.
Oh, we got Bacardi got a 20K fine for almost burning down a bar. We did bungee jumping immediately. Like how we didn't die, I have no idea. Like everybody was on it.
I want to tell you something, that one of the competition that in my mind, it was always like, I want to be there. It was the 42 below. And I said, like, I started to compete because of that.
Dude, it was the best.
I never had a chance because the timing is stopped. And then I felt straight away in 2025, if you do that competition, you will get arrested as a brand. Like they will bring you to jail immediately. Immediately.
We're going to relaunch the 42 Bull Cup straight to jail. Just go. So I did the last one ever. I was the youngest bartender there. I was part of Team Scotland and we were wild card. Okay. So it was like the most accidental, but that roster was stacked. My team, Jamie Mack, Megs Miller.
Yeah.
The Startender team, Michael Callahan, Daniela Della Pola, Patrick Pistolesi.
Yeah, yeah.
Team America, Schneider, Beckley Franks. All of these names are now Startender 101. The judges, John Lemire, Tony C, Boris, the guy from America, forget his surname. Jacob Bryars is there.
Jacob Bryars, of
David
course.
Cordoba, present, still the global guy for Bacardi.
Yeah.
All household names. And that was, I was the youngest guy there, just trying to meet everybody, there for a week with them. Of course they're going to get to know you. Of course you're going to become everyone's, like, you know, that the experience. Here's the thing. Remember that, what's that beer brand that says, if we were a bank, we would be the best bank in the world? Is it Carlsberg or whatever? They have these advertisements.
I think so. I can't remember. Yes, if we were the best bank, we were the best bank in the world.
If we were whatever, if they were a competition, it would be the best competition in the world. That's the thing. When you go through an experience together, whether good or bad, it bonds you, right?
Absolutely.
That's why very often they don't do competitions like this anymore. Like when you're together for 7-8 days and the competition finishes and then you have a cool down day, 1 or 2 days, everyone's no longer stressed, but you've gone through that stress. Most of you have lost, right? There's only one winner that anybody remembers, number one. And even then.
That year it was Italy won.
No, that year was
Schneider.
Schneider.
You said Schneider. No, it was
2012 was Schneider.
Okay, then it was the year
Schneider
before.
Beckley.
Oh yeah.
Because it was a team comp.
Yeah.
Italy.
What was the year before?
Max. Second place was Max Venning, Terry Cashman, and Simon Toohey. I think Italy was the year before.
My God, you talking
Third
about
place,
legends.
New Zealand, Barney Toy. A couple of other. Yeah,
your
man.
memory is so bright, mate.
Dude, it was my first big.
It's just sculpted into your heart.
Of course.
So, would you say as a message, after saying all of this, that bartenders go out there and do competition?
Go out there and fucking take the world. The amount of money from brands to give you an opportunity to travel, to see things, to meet other people. Go. We back in the day, we had to fight for this.
Yeah.
Right? We had to fight for it. There was not every day a trip to Les Lohis and Grey Goose. Fuck off. There was none of this. Now there's more money in bartending than ever before. Go. The opportunity's there. And honestly, I'm happy that they're lazy and pointless and TikTok, because it's more for me.
Yeah, there is
stay home. Couldn't give a fuck.
I love that.
Pre-batch your shit.
You are super ambitious and you see the world in a way that, from what you're saying, it looks like the world is the canvas and you can just do whatever you want.
Of course.
And I really feel it from your words. And the Vagabond project, it's something that is close to your heart. You've been traveling 11 countries, 11 cocktail bars in 16 months, I guess.
Yeah, more or less.
Would you like to just tell us a little bit about the project, because it had a massive impact all over our social media? And
well, I'll make the window, because I went on about competitions. Long story short, I did a competition called Bowls Around the World after 42 Below. Yeah. I met a guy called Bo Bodvine. He was a competitor. He opened a bar in Amsterdam called Tales and Spirits with his wife at the time. Invited me to join the team. I joined the team. I was there for 3.5 years. The bar got into 50 best, so that's another whole discussion. And I remember at the time, and we had a very flat hierarchy. So when you were on shift, you had a position. You were hosting, you were running, you were in the kitchen, whatever, you'd rotate. Kind of like Bramble used to do back in the day. It doesn't matter what your status was, you rotate everything. However, in the background, I tended to prefer the creative part, so I was in the kitchen a lot. But there is this thing that happens, at least in my opinion, from when I was in 50 Best as a part of a team that was part of 50 Best. You put a lot of pressure on yourself to stay amazing, right? Not the bar or the owners, yourself. Every year you feel you have to be better. So I'm doing 70, 80-hour weeks. Only 50 of 60 of them are paid. The rest is me like trying to come up with new shit in the lab, which was a Thermomix and a fridge.
It's not 2025.
No, it's not 2025. And basically, I remember because I'm from Eastern Europe and I didn't grow up with Western films. It was like a weird moment. It was like the planets aligned. Shit break up with the Sicilian girlfriend. I watched Good Will Hunting for the first time.
Okay.
And it was like my dad's birthday. And I called my dad up and it's like a January or something. And I am doing this Patron cocktail for the menu because we were a Bacardi bar. And he's like, just having a chat. And we're just talking. He's like, how are you? What's up? Blah, blah. The point of the conversation is this. He's like, son, I'm happy for you. You're independent. You're doing whatever the fuck you want. But I have a question for you. Why the fuck did we leave Eastern Europe, a prison, to give you a British passport so you create a prison for yourself for 70-hour weeks in Amsterdam, where you're like unhealthy, white, no vitamin D, worrying about a tequila cocktail? And I was like, fuck, man's got a point.
He got you.
Yeah, and
He got you.
And then so all of this shit is happening, and why Good Will Hunting is because there's this scene with Robin Williams and Matt Damon, and he said to Matt Damon, "You're like the smartest guy in the world, but you don't know what the Sistine Chapel smells like." And I was like, motherfucker's got a point, right? Because if you're an immigrant, if you're I
am an immigrant.
Well, yeah, like you know that there's more than one world out there.
Of course.
This is the power of being an immigrant and leaving the country of your birth to live in any other country. You have suddenly a duality. You see the world from two places. If you've never left your country, you're a little bit like a horse, like this, right? So in my mind, I was like, oh shit, he's got a point. I'm looking at the Wikipedia page for Dia de los Muertos, but I've never been to Mexico. What the fuck do I know? And I was like, cool. I've saved, because I don't go out, I've saved like 15K, 16K in 3 years, euros. And I was like, I'm going to go see the world. Fuck it. That was the moment. Handed in my notice. I was professional. I was like, I've been working here for 3 years. I'm going to give you 3 months, which is a good number.
But the thing that really got me is the fact that you went out there not asking for a job, like you were there like you're proposing yourself, and I think you work for free.
Work for free.
So then literally just for the pure passion of what you wanted to do, you just did it. And no.
Well, yes, it was two things. First of all, I was kind of lost. Shit relationship, working a lot, kind of not burning out, but just like heavy 3 years. The second thing is once you leave a bar that's famous, this industry is a very, very like fashion. You're not hot anymore. You know what I mean? Like you always have to feel like you have to upgrade. Yeah. You have to go to the next big project. You have to be better. You have to be higher. But
it's really bold. What I'm saying is really bold, the way that you leave everything and you just go. And
I had nothing to lose.
And tell me something, the place is like you start your trip and say like, until I run out of all the money, I'm gonna keep traveling, or I'm gonna make it to those
Well, I set
places.
a goal. I set a goal, and I said 12 bars, 12 countries, 12 months. And then I just called everyone I knew, going, "Hey, do you want someone to work for free illegally, maximum 40 hours a week?" And I called a lot of people, and not everybody answered. I didn't even get a job offer when I did the Facebook status that I quit, but some people did. So. Nico de Soto set me up for a pop-up in LA to run the first ever Miracle on 9th Street in LA. Then I was meant to work in Himkok, but there was some bullshit with the organization. So I ended up going with Chris Grodvert and doing a tour of Norway. Dino set me up in Lost and Found. Thanos set me up in Baburam. So there was like 4 or 5 months that were taken care of. The moment that I started traveling, I end up getting a call going, "Are you that idiot that works for free? And you were like in charge or kind of creative guy in a 50 Best bar?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's me. Yeah." "So what are the conditions?" And I'm like, "Just give me a place to live, feed me. I got some cash. If you can help me with flights, that's nice. If you can't, I'll buy my own flight, whatever." So that was it. South Africa, Lebanon, Dubai, USA twice with Kid Gerwin in Santa Cruz. Like there was no whatever. Sometimes it just worked out, and it was the best thing I ever did for my career.
And I'm agree. Like I'm impressed. And what has been your best takeaway out of all of this experience?
I have a positive one. I have a negative one.
Please.
So the positive one is that the idea of borders or the idea of you're stuck, you cannot do nothing, like fearlessness. I have become absolutely fearless. It's bullshit. If you can get a visa or if you can get a semi-decent passport, which I'm lucky enough to have, you can just go do whatever the fuck you want. You're literally just a ticket away. The only expense I had was my mobile phone that I had to buy a new eSIM, a SIM card everywhere. That's it. I had no other obligations. And then call my mother on her birthday. There you go. That was my only obligation.
With the mom, you can fuck around.
Exactly. So you can do whatever the fuck you want. There is no, your rent is only a choice. Your tax, like, of course, I saved money for 3 years to be able to do that. But welcome, sacrifice something. You're not going to get everything on a plate. That was the positive thing, you know, like I now, that empowered me that I can do whatever I want. Like I can do whatever the fuck I want. I just need to earn some money to be able to execute this thing. So everything I've done from then has been based on, okay, how much does it cost? I want to try it. And what I found is that when you fund a project yourself, first of all, you care about it a bit more. Also, the community cares about it a bit more. And whether it's a failure or a success is really depends how you view it. There's been a lot of failures I've had that somehow I've turned into successes by talking about it later. The negative thing is, I would say, it gets very lonely because I feel like you miss your own space. Like you can stay in a million hotels or Airbnbs. You can be the loneliest person in the room, even if you're traveling all the time, because simply, A, nobody can relate. B, you don't really feel like you have your own private space where you can be yourself. A lot of people think that work-life balance is family time, work time, but there's also you time. Does that make sense?
I agree.
And
I couldn't agree more.
You can't find that on the road. It's very difficult. Some people maybe can, but I found it very, very difficult.
Thank you to highlight this point, because sometimes when you have a lifestyle that you travel the world for business, as you know, most of us, that's what we do. Everyone think it's so glamorous, it's so magic. But when you have a family that is waiting for you at home and you can't be with them, it's really difficult. And, you know, on a personal level, from my point of view, I couldn't agree more on what you said. And, but you need to go through in certain way, and you go through beautifully. Yourself, myself, everybody, but it's tough. I would say it's tough. Also that side. What can we say? You know, like you are not just passionate about what you are doing. I think you are really devoted, and the fact that you did this trip, it really changes a person from your words and the way you're saying. So, what has been the place that really changed you as a human?
It's hard to say.
It must be one.
Honestly, it's hard to say. I think one of the things that I suffer from as a person is because I was 8 years old when I left Eastern Europe, which is a very particular type of mentality. And then we moved to the UK.
When you say particular mentality, you mean?
Well, it's the way people think, our mentalidad, whatever mentality, the way people are, the culture, right? Eastern European culture is, why do the Poles and the Serbs and the Russians and Ukrainians, if you take away the politics, kind of get each other? It's you know, they all have this like kind of unhappy face, but the moment they see their friend, their face changes, right? I think one of my favorite analogies is an old Soviet Union Cold War thing, where why are Americans always smiling, but it's always bullshit, and the Eastern Europeans are always unhappy, but if you're their friend, you're their friend for life, right? So the idea is, even in Russia, it was like, why are you smiling like an American? Because the idea of smiling to other people for no reason whatsoever, you're either stupid, or that was the idea,
yes,
or you're being fake, right? So what I mean by this, where I'm not shitting on Americans. The point is, I grew up in both those worlds, where you're taught to smile at people in the UK, right? You're like, hey, how are you? Like, so my issue has always been, I never fully agreed with all the things I was in my home life, which was Eastern Europe, Russia, Ukraine mix. And I never fully understood where I was going to school and when I was learning to bartend. So I don't feel like I fit in either of those worlds. That's my hardest thing as a person. Now, the superpower that came from that is that when I was traveling, I would just find things in different cultures that I can relate to, that I really enjoyed. I really love South Africa. There's a lot of things that I learned there that by being there for a month and a bit and help opening a bar in Johannesburg. I love Italy. I really, 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 I think it's one of the greatest countries in the world.
I take that. Thank you.
I would say that the Italians make it terribly difficult to love it, but
it's the problem of every country. It's not the country itself; it's the people living there. If you go to Spain, it's the Spanish. If you go to Italy, it's the Italian. If you go to Germany, it's the Germans.
But where I'm going to answer your question, there wasn't a particular place because I find it difficult to find a home. And I don't know if I can fix this problem. I think I'm going to die with this. Because I sometimes am very jealous of people who have grown up in the same place. They have childhood friends they went to school with, football club with, university. I don't have them. So maybe my weird psychological self-trauma is I'm so hyper fixated on the industry because that's where I found my home. Does that make sense?
I see what you mean.
And I don't know, this is me doing a bullshit self-diagnosis. I'm not a therapist, don't listen to me.
No, but it's really honest and open, and
but that's
beautiful.
I have sat in a hangover, sitting down shower and had this thought, which is deep when you're having a sit down hangover shower, thinking about this stuff.
We all went through. You are not alone, Danil. Don't you worry. You are not
Why
alone.
Why did I do that?
We all went through that. So then you have this incredible journey traveling that, he has his pro, his cons, as we just mentioned. At some point, you pop up with the idea, okay, the Vagabond project is ending, probably because of the money, probably because of you been seeing what you meant to see. Now I start Indie Bartenders.
Well, it was before Indie Bartender came, during the Vagabond project, I also met my old business partner, Eddie, and I became the co-owner of Cocktails For You. So that kind of came at the same time.
Okay.
I was losing all the money from my personal account for the Vagabond project.
Yeah.
But I was trying to learn to make money with social media through Cocktails For You because we had a very cool agreement. It was like whatever I bring in, 50-50.
Fantastic.
And then at the end, we just became business partners and it was fine. So when I moved to Spain was the end of the Vagabond project, which was about 2018, almost 2019. We finally made money with Cocktails For You. And for me, I don't know how you feel about this, but I believe that stories need to have a start, a middle, and an end.
Yes.
Right? I think one of the sicknesses of this industry, from bars to 50 Best to brands, is you do annual brand plans and you do annual rat race. You're like a hamster in a wheel. Gotta do guest shift. Like, I remember seeing when Giacomo went from first place to second place in 50 Best, there's a photo that was circulating in the bartending community in Spain of just how unhappy he was being the second best bar in the world behind Sips. And I remember when I saw Margarita and Giacomo like the 2 weeks after, I was like, guys, you're the second fucking best bar in the world. You know what I mean? Like, who gives a fuck? And now he's much better. I see him since. He's now got like 5 Paradisos or whatever, 1 million projects. And, he's healthier. He's super thin, looking beautiful. Much, much more in a content place, right?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to use that. It's just an example that came to my mind.
Of course. Yes.
So for me, when it comes to storytelling, create your story. The Vagabond project had a definitive end. The idea was 12 months, 12 countries, 12 bars. What ended up happening was 16 months because timing, 11 countries, 11 bars because exploded appendix. on a plane. I landed.
No way.
I landed. They did a keyhole surgery here. Oh, nobody wants to see that. Keyhole surgery, almost peritonitis, so peritonitis. They had to
Bloody
cut me
hell.
open. I was with a hole in my stomach for 3 weeks in Kazakhstan. And
Wow.
and I had to my visa almost ran out, so I had to cross the border into Kyrgyzstan just to get a new stamp with a fucking bag.
No way.
It's mental.
Crazy.
And I was meant to be going to Australia to do my last month in Australia. That didn't quite work out.
But as you said, there is a beginning, there is a middle parts, and then there is the end.
Penultimate finish. But do that. I think that's much more beautiful. When you know a story has to end, you have something to look forward to. If every year you have to try and create the next big thing, or the competition has to be bigger, better. No, it doesn't. Create a story. Like, we're going to run this competition for 3 years, and then we're going to change everything.
Yeah.
We're going to take a break.
And what's your story with Bartender Indie?
So the Cocktails for You thing, it had 3 years I was a co-owner. And just before COVID, I said, listen, I think we should go down the path what I'm doing now, more education, more original content production, more niche. Like, let's build all this. And Eddie was like, yeah, but we've got a good thing going. Why change it? We're doing videos, we're doing this. I was like, I know, but I think this is the future. At least I want to do this. And he was like, well, I want to do this. I'm like, cool, well then it's all good. You know, like, you don't have to, cool, let's separate. We're still friends. We talked today, this morning. Everyone's fine. He's got Cocktails for You. I got my share of the bank, and then COVID happened. So I lost my share of the bank because I was sitting at home paying rent. You know, like, if you're a business owner, there was no support.
I know.
And I had a camera, one of these actually, APS-C Sony's. And I had nothing else. So I started making content. Once a week, then became 3 times a week, became 7 days a week, and now I've gone down to 5.
Okay.
It's a story. So Indie Bartender, the point of it was...
You needed the push. The COVID, it was the push for you to do it, probably.
Maybe, I don't know, but the idea is very simple. Indie stands for independent, like indie music, even though a lot of Indians think that I'm trying to be Indian for some reason. I get a lot of messages. But the point of it was, when I was a younger bartender, what are the materials or help or educational materials that I wanted that I didn't get? So my website is full of personal branding, brand proposals, guest shift calculator, how to calculate how much you should charge for a guest shift. I have an interactive calculator. We have the menu database we just launched. So the idea is like, and it's all free. Just sign up to the website. Here you go. These are the things that I wanted to know, that I wish I knew I had access to become a better professional, not just knowledge. ChatGPT can give you knowledge and everything now. You can download everything. We got a permission from Milk and Honey to post their online, their bar manual. We have the full 274-page manual from Madge Group. Cool. You want to run a bar? Download this thing, tick the boxes. You have a full manual. Here's your bar manual. And we've got a lot more of those kind of things. And it's worked. That's it. That was the idea. And we have a website. We have a business. I have 4 people.
It seems to be that, with this project, you wanted to resolve an issue for bartenders, which is...
Well, whatever the fuck the issue is. My independent bartender, I go, okay, what is a problem that a bartender has? Let's solve it. So, for example, bartenders are looking at Remy, Simone, Alex, Monica, pick whatever, kid, girl, pick the star tender. Oh, they have this really cool look, or they have the thing they're into, niche thing. Personal branding, cool, here's a guide. Oh, I don't know how to ask a brand for money. I don't know how to build a deck. Here's a brand proposal template. I don't know how to run a bar. I become a bar manager, not because I studied management, because I worked in this bar for too long, so they made me a bar manager. Here is what one of the world's best bar Bibles look like. Download it, use it. Here's another one. Here's a third one. Hey, I've been invited by a brand to work the Roma Bar Show as a stand. Cool. Here is a guest shift calculator, and it says everything in there. Are you taking time off? Is this unpaid leave? Is this a vacation? Or, like, what's the deal? Here is the financial, it makes sense how you should charge. What are the taxes in your country? And we're just going down that list. What other issues do we have in the industry? Nobody knows how much people earn around the world and what are the costs of working on that right now, working with lawyers to do that. Personal deck, that's going to get released in the next 2 weeks. We have how to attract investors to invest into your cocktail bar. I managed to get the previous co-owner of Trick Dog. We're gonna publish his investment
Plan
for opening a venue in America.
So, I mean, like I'm more convinced than earlier that you're simplify things for bartender. Like your communication is like I help you on this, and that's great. You just need to sign up. That's simple.
Just the website.
My God, if all of this it was available back in the days, you know how many hours, days, months I will save of my life, and for sure it will make me a better human being in this industry. I will say, and prepared, more than better, a prepared one.
And that's it. And at least then you can take that and go to a lawyer and go, this was my template. Can you base it on this, or what can we do with this? To get a lawyer to write something from scratch is like 3 times more expensive than get an amendment. And that's the whole point. Because the idea is this: if I create this place, this location, the website, and I create all these materials, or I find people who have these materials and we do a collab, because it's not about me, it's to create the platform. And you make this available, you create value. Then you create an email database, then you create an ecosystem where everything goes around. The brands go where the bartender's attention is. The brands go which brings them value. So the menu database, we just launched 3 months ago. Now we have 250 cocktail menus from all over the world that you can browse. You can search. Some of them work with the search function for everything. Some of the world's best bars are on there. You're designing a menu, go get inspired. It's available. You can't afford to travel to New York? Here's 20 menus from New York. It's all. But now the brands go, oh, I want my logo on that part of the website. I want it to be powered by SIP. That's who powers my database. Thank you. Thank you for the money. It's very simple. Hosting fees are covered. Website building fees are covered. I'm getting some money.
It's great. You create the hook. You give them a story. And then if someone want to be the sponsor of it, it's fantastic.
It's really like create value, and then for the people, and then the brands will give you the money to be a part of the advertising of that value. It's not rocket science.
Yes, I agree. In many aspects, there is one part that it really get my attention, because you as a human being and as a person, you have this disruptive way of saying things that probably are so normal. But in 2025, we don't sound like normal. And the way how you think and you express, for me, it feels really independent. Okay? Like as a thinker, you're really independent as a person. What it means for you, independence for a bartender in 2025?
Okay, 2-part answer. The first about the way I think. I don't think that I think differently from many other people. I just express the things that they are thinking about, right? I think the reason for that is because we have these weird unwritten rules that I have no idea who came up with. For me, I consume a lot of media outside of the bar world. I think you mentioned you like fighting and stuff like that, right?
Combat sports.
Combat sports. Yeah. So let's take combat sports.
Yeah.
Sean Strickland broke down on Theo Von's podcast about his abusive father, talking about mental health. That's an actual abused mental health person physically breaking down because of the trauma, real trauma. And it was not really planned. Right? I didn't cry on like a push of a button. Okay, that's a very specific example.
You pick.
Another one is Shia LaBeouf, whatever the fuck his name is. He was on a podcast with another American actor that was the Undertaker. No, not the Undertaker. Yeah, whatever. Long story short, other forms of media seem to be talking about problems that we have in our industry. Drug abuse, alcohol abuse, mental health issues, whatever. And yet we are bartenders in the circle of the shit, and we can't talk about it. Why? I don't understand. Why are we all pretending? What is this? Ironically, studying theater, why are we all playing an act? The person who can laugh at himself, at themselves, or the person who is self-aware is much stronger than the person who's acting. And so all I did was go, okay, now I'm going to talk about these things. And if I hope in the last 5 years, this has become me doing that. I think at least in my circle, I see people being a bit more open about these things. I feel like it's become more normalized to talk about the issues as opposed to the real issues and not being scared to say something. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So
yes.
that's what I mean about the speaking. With regards to the second part of your question, which was, sorry, I missed it.
It was related to what it means independence for a bartender in 2025.
Sorry. So I think for a bartender in 2025, independence is, I have a very kind of weird view about it. It's financial, right? You need to have enough money in the bank so that you can survive, as in like whatever you cost yourself, for at least 4 or 5 months, right? That's step one. So you lose your job or you need to go and do something, you can survive for 5 months independently. B, I think that understanding practically what is the job of a bartender from a point of view of what your professional responsibilities are within your business that you work in, but also this new thing that's growing, this opportunity of brand work, this opportunity of social media, and more so. We didn't have this opportunity 20 years ago or even 15 years ago. Brand work was a free trip in exchange for working a stand. You know what I mean? If you
stock their product on the list of
exactly
on the listing. Yeah.
Social media was not in existence. There's now, I know social media bartenders in I can show you their list. They're charging 8 to 11K of Instagram reel. So they do 3 videos in 1 month and they pay for the annual salary of a Slovakian bartender for a year, or even maybe a British one in some parts of the UK. So do it. Get that money. Like, what are you waiting for? You know,
going back to the previous point, to create stability for yourself
exactly.
in order to do more things that you like.
But here's the way I view it. There is the people that are that come to the bar, the regulars or the non-regulars, whatever, the tourists. They are X amount of people. Your bar can serve X amount of people. If you get a social media presence where you have regulars that will come and see you, which happens more in the US than it happens in other parts of the world, you bring a real value to the venue, right? If you're there on shift, the bar is full. So you can suddenly create a correlation between your hours and how much venue you bring in by your presence because of, say, social media. So you can ask for a higher salary and say, when I'm here, our revenue is 3x. I want more per hour for that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right? At the end of the day, the independence is not just a bartending thing, it's a human being thing. We all want to have enough freedom in whatever that means for you to do whatever the fuck we want. That's been my only goal in my personal life.
Even build a family.
Build a family.
People think you talk only about the money. No. The money is the freedom to do whatever you want to do. Simple as you explain it. So, there is nothing. And do you think like out there, because this project, it seems to be, this platform that you created seems to be so simple, so cool and so understanding. Do you think someone missed the point of this platform and they don't understand what it is? I
think we can definitely work on the website. There's still a lot of kinks to work out. I never anticipated how expensive website building is.
I know. With the art of shaking, we know quite well. It's like every 6 months, it's like, yeah, you got 200, 300 people more on your platform. Fantastic. Bigger server, bigger that, and then you start to increase. It's like, well, look at, this doesn't add up,
exactly.
To the final bill.
Exactly. So I think there's definitely more that we can do. I'm still a small team. I've made some shit investments in the last 2 years. I fucked up with the taxes 1 year, so I'm not perfect. I keep making mistakes, like anyone else will. It's just let me start again. Long story short, I'm gonna stop saying that too. like anyone else, I make mistakes. I made some bad investments. I made some bad calls. I'm not going to publicize the bad calls. Not now. Maybe I'll do it in a seminar in 2 years. Here's how I lost 400,000 euros. Yeah, start counting, bitches. The point of it is, for me, we can work on it. Like, we can keep going. But there's a very famous, not a very famous, there's a phrase that I saw from an American independent rapper whose random song I found on Spotify. And it's called the 1,000 fan theory. And the point of it is, if you can convince 1,000 people over the course of 12 months to spend $100 on you, then you earned 100 grand. So what can you do in 12 months? What value you can bring? Keep talking about value to make 100 people convinced to spend $100 on you. I spent $100 on shots in 10 seconds. So that was the beginning of the whole idea. What can I do to do that? What website can I create? What tools can I bring? What content can I create? What merch can I sell to earn 100 grand? Right? And next thing you know, oh shit, it's achievable. In 12 months, I can do that. I've never earned 100 grand before in my life. Now I have. Right?
I mean, you blow me away because yes, it's so simple. It's brick by brick, little by little. One of the things that I found in common with all the people that I have a chance to talk to, that everybody use their brain.
That's such a simple thing to say.
It doesn't. You don't have to build, like a NASA, rocket. Like what you need to do. You need to think with your brain. You need to sit down and you need to think. My goal is, and you go backwards. And that's what I found all over the path of the people that I've been talking to. Is like, this is my goal. How do I achieve this? I need to go back and then bit by bit by bit. Some, they start strongly building their personal branding. Some others, they rely on companies that they support with budget. Some others, they found, their own personal founding, etc., etc. But, they have the goal. And then they build it. And, what you just said is like, it's so simple. Start to use your brain.
Well, here's the thing. So I studied engineering for almost 3 years before I dropped out. And that's why me and my mother had a bit of a problem. And one of the things that engineering teaches you is called critical thinking, which is exactly what you just explained. Critical thinking, and it's a small part of the course, but basically you give an engineer and you say, you recreate this table. An engineer who has never made a fucking table before in his life, any engineer would go, okay, cool, let's measure the dimensions, let's look at the material, whatever. They're going to try and rebuild this table, and it's going to be shit, but they'll make you a table. Now, if they do that 1,000 times, suddenly they're good at making tables. The point of it is exactly like you just said, reverse engineering. You need to pick that goal, you'll get there. The Vagabond project, okay, I want to do 12 months, 12 countries, 12 bars. That's the goal. Let's aim for that. I failed. I didn't meet the 12 months, but I remember seeing an old video on YouTube. I'll see if I find it for you, from a rabbi in New York in the 90s. And he said, human beings are lazy pieces of shit. You need to give them goals that are here so that they'll achieve this. But if you give them the goal here, they'll achieve this. So I make my goal here. So hopefully getting there, if I get there, holy shit, amazing. But otherwise, I want to set my goals high. Otherwise, I don't want to be mediocre, even if my result might be mediocre. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. My coach says exactly the same thing. It's like, if you want to kick him on the leg, you need to think through the leg. Otherwise, you're not going to reach the leg. You want to go to the head, you need to think through the head. Otherwise, you're not going to reach the head.
Fighting talk.
Anything, you need to be thinking, in a way that, you need to go over the goal that, you're putting down. And I mean, for me, it's absolute like a necessity, have a goal, but be like, a little bit,
Well, I feel like the thing that I've noticed, and this is, I think, there
is nothing wrong to be ambitious.
No,
and we need to state it out there, because sometimes it comes across like, but you want always too much. It's not about wanting. It's about be meaningful on this planet. I want to leave this planet and leave something good. I don't care about the money. I don't care about anything else. I feel like, I want to leave a mark of something good that people
You're going to
will
ask the
may feel
question,
it.
are you?
just saying.
In one of my seminars, I talk about ambition and I say, what drives you? Right? People love to talk about motivation, what the fuck they drive them, and usually it's a bullshit story. I break it into 3 categories. Okay, money drives you? Fine, whatever. Fame drives you? Okay. The last one I call glory because I couldn't think of a better word. But the way I explain those categories is as such. If money is your driver, you want to earn more money, and that is your biggest driver right now in your life at this moment, use that to fuel whatever you're doing. If fame is your driver, you want to be famous. You want to be the guy on TikTok who does this, right? Fuck it. You want to be an actor. You want to, whatever. You want to be famous. Use that. Glory is you fighting yourself. I want to be better than I am myself yesterday. Whichever is your driver, it's fine. Whatever is that makes you get up in the morning and get off your ass and do something, use it. The difference is how you get there. If you're going to do it stepping over other people, then you're going to fuck up, right? Whatever.
Be respectful. Be respectful.
Whatever is your driver, don't step over others.
Absolutely.
There's this whole cancel culture and all this other kind of stuff. When I was younger, I was a nerd. I used to collect these cards called Magic the Gathering. And I remember one of them was called Goblin Hero. And Magic the Gathering cards, they used to have a little motivational speech underneath every card. And the Goblin Hero one, it said, you don't have to step forward to be a hero. Everyone else just has to step back. Right?
Simple as it is.
And that, for me, is the people who are always talking shit about others. When you're always trying to put everybody back to try and be the hero, that never works long term, right? You have to be the one stepping forward. And to step forward is much more tough. You have to sweat, you have to risk, you have to take the risk of possibly losing. But if you take the step forward, you're now in a whole new line of people. So now when we're older and we have projects that are possibly bringing in some money, we're fathers, whatever, what you find, you said everyone's using their brain. What I find is the real maturity in any industry or as a human being, regardless of industry, is you realizing that I'm now in a level of people where we have our projects. Our projects are not about stepping over other people and we're just working on our shit, right?
That's what it is.
Now I'm looking at these young bartenders that are ambitious. I'm looking for them. Who are the ambitious ones? How can I help you? Because then I'm going to be the Peter Doretti getting looked after the Salvatore in the future, right?
I like this.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
I want to be looked after when I'm 70, 80 years old. I still want to be invited to stuff.
Yes.
But the only way to do that is to help others to bring them up.
It's the key. It's absolutely the key. Taking care of others, it's absolutely the key. And I'm not saying this just because. I say this because I strongly believe it. And you don't grow on your own.
No.
Alone, you can't do much. What you can do, it's you with the good people around you. Sometimes they don't have to be good. They need to have the right attitude. Attitude, for me, is everything.
I agree.
In everything you do. In everything you do. Because that, he changed the way how you live that experience, you know?
Well, attitude and character. There's an old Sashi Petrasky interview. I think Differ's Guide has it, or maybe it's still on YouTube, where he says, you can learn everything you want about bartending in 2 years. You'll get as good as you're ever going to get. Then it's very like small incremental increase. But character and attitude, you cannot teach. So if somebody goes into the freezer and they see the mixing glasses that are ice cold, but the one in the front is a bit warmer, the one in the back is colder, but they reach the one in the front because it's easier, you cannot teach that. Now, say what you will about work-life balance or toxic environments, the only way to improve someone's character and attitude is by breaking them. Not breaking them mentally and destroying them, but you have to be harsh. You have to be strong. You have to be disciplined. If you've done sport, which I have, discipline is not great. If you have no discipline, you have not been taught discipline, right? But that's the athlete's mentality.
I tell you, now that you pick the topic, and I would like to add this, for me is not just in sports, but it's like motivation comes first. You need to be motivated by the environment, by yourself to do something. Second to that, you need to be disciplined enough to say no to things that now are not taking you to reach that goal. That's is so essential. And the third part, if you want to really be a great human being, let's say, you need to sacrifice. And you need to sacrifice something. You need to sacrifice your time. You need to sacrifice your desire. You need to sacrifice many things. Those three things are so important from my point of view.
I completely agree. The last time I got shit on was when I think I made a post about sacrifice. And I got a lot of like weird DMs. And I said in the post, the point of the post was, if everyone's working 40 hours a week, the only way I'm going to stand out or be better is to work harder. If I'm not talented enough, right? You know, like I got to work harder, right? Kobe Bryant was talented, but he was also one of the hardest working. Every single person who worked with Kobe Bryant said he was harder worker than anyone else. So I'm not, to be honest, I make average drinks. I'm the Starbucks of bartenders. I make fruity, easygoing cocktails. I try my best doing savory, tastes like shit. I try to learn flair. My hand-eye coordination is not great. I can only shadow pass 70% of the time. Working flair, always a mess. All I'm good at is chatting shit and communicating and picking a playlist. That was my strong point.
Everybody has their own skills.
Everybody has their own skills. But I would show up before everyone else. I would go home later than everyone else. I would buy all the books. I would know everyone's names. I would find out what Luca was doing in the Shard, what Simone and Alex were doing in the Shard, because I wanted to get better. And everyone's doing the 40 hours a week, getting upset, getting shit-faced, spending all their tips and all their money on shots. I was booking a flight to Japan and not drinking for 6 months as a result, because I was working 7 pounds an hour. So you had to make the money. I wasn't born into money, so I had to do what I had to do.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
To do what you had to do, baby.
Hey, it is what it is.
Pacino is here, brother. Allora, listen up. You've been working so many projects, yes? You've been taking care of so many different things, all related to the same topic, which is hospitality and mixologies. And we are pleased for that, because you are making an improvement into this business. But there was one which really took my attention, and has been the fact that you've been catalog all the cocktail menu from all the bars. Would you like to tell us a bit more about it?
Sure. The idea is not new. Back when I first started during COVID doing content, I was reviewing cocktail menus, and I was like, cool, let's look at the concept, let's look at how they physically look, let's look at the design, let's look at the drinks. And I just looked at them. I didn't give them like a rating out of 10. I was just sharing my opinion. Sometimes I would get into trouble. I was banned from a bar for 2 years for telling them their menu is fucking awful. It was the worst menu I ever reviewed. And then there was other moments that it was quite constructive. Like I reviewed the Beaufort Bar. They had a menu which was about magic. And I wrote in there, one of your sections is non-toxic cocktails. But if you're a normal human being reading non-toxic, that indicates that there's toxic. And toxic is not a good word you want to use, Or saline solution. One of the most disgusting words in existence, saline solution. Saline does not sound sexy at all. It sounds, ugh. Like we know what it is, but what's saline? You don't say carbonara, salt. It's seasoned, motherfucker. It should be, right? Why do you? This is just performative, self-ego boosting bullshit, right? That gives no indicator to the human being what's in the drink. My point is, I started reviewing cocktail menus. They were very popular. And then I moved on to other content because it was very difficult and I ran out of menus. I had like 30 menus. It was still COVID. I had nothing left. And then people started sending me stuff. Next thing you know, I have 100 menus, 106 menus in my house. And I said to myself, well, I'm very privileged to travel. I'm very privileged to get menus sent to me. I'm very privileged to have this opportunity. Sometimes I'm in a bar or in a city and I'm like, I wish my friends were here, right? And they can't because they're not, because the cost of being there. I wish my real friends were in this moment so we can share it. But they don't have the life that I have. And similarly, I was thinking, taking a video of a menu in New York, people are like, man, can you do more photos of the menu? This looks really cool. So I said to myself, okay, well, I can't bring all the bartenders of the world with me on my travels, but maybe I can share with them some of it. And so I said to myself, well, that makes sense. And then I was like, different guy must have done this. No. And I'm like, why not? You do Menu of the Year awards. Why not make them public? I think if this project gets bigger, it's going to be hilarious because I want to get some of the world's best menus for the last 10 years. And let's see if they're actually cool enough to win that award.
but it sounds really ambitious. It sounds like Danil Nevsky to me, like this project. And with this project and all the project that you've been doing, how they adds up and they create your living in a way, like you do consultancy, I guess.
No. So I don't
brands.
understand consultancy. Well, no, yeah, okay. For brands is different.
That's what I'm trying. So what I see. Let's try to divide it. What do you do is like I create incredible content that will be necessary for bartenders. So I give them something that it will be educational, right? From that point of view, you're using that as a point of, okay, maybe brands need some help, right? And I can fit things around. One thing, it can be the logo, so product placement. That is one part. The other part is like I can help the brand to develop a strategy because I know all the necessity for bartenders. That correct?
Yes and no. So what I do is I'm technically, the way to describe it in the spirits world, the corporate world, I'm technically a hybrid agency, right? For the normal bartenders that are listening to this or will be watching this, the brands are very complicated depending on which brand it is, which company they belong to, which team is at that moment behind that brand. But there's a few things that they all have in common. We have a brand plan, which is annual, usually. And that's X amount of money that goes to X amount of things. If it's a global brand plan, it's the global shit they're going to do. If it's a local brand plan, blah, blah. If it's the local brand plan, it's the local shit they're going to do. That's the simplified version of that. Every single star tender, every single agency pulls from that budget one way or another. Now, what is happening right now in the industry is that we're having an epidemic of attendance to masterclasses, seminars in certain parts of the world. And yet we're having a huge number of views and engagement online. So I looked at that and I was like, okay, so if I want to earn money without working in a bar or working for a brand or having my own brand, like a physical thing, I need to either get eyeballs on my stuff on socials or I need to make sure people come to my events. Weirdly enough, they're super interlinked. I'm doing a seminar in Dubai and it's full, but Anastasia Miller and Jared Brown are dead. They're infinitely smarter than me. They're infinitely more knowledgeable. I'm at that seminar to learn. It's not because the world has changed. So this is now links to that. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So
yes.
That's how to get the money from that budget. That's the way I approached it. Now, what I do differently, and this was actually my initial plan all along, is I treat myself as if I was a brand. So I write a brand plan for me every year. The cocktail menu database is part of this year's brand plan, right? I'm going to put budget towards that. So I budget myself and I finance myself. I cost me this year 56K. This is flights to tails, accommodation, all expenses, cocktail menu database, hosting, video editors, everything. I cost me 56K. So I budget that and I finance it myself. I have 4 global brand partners because I only have space for 4. And I say, cool, you want to work with me? You want to be an exclusive partner in a category like a speed rail? You have to match my investment. So you're not a sponsor, you're matching what I put in. The first brand makes me the money back, which I save for next year. The second brand pays for taxes because I live in a tax big country. And then the third, fourth is profit. So that's the business model. Unfortunately, it's not scalable because it's this phase. So now the plan is to see how I can scale things. That's why we have the merch shop, which can scale. We have the menu database, which will lead to something else, which could possibly scale. Possibly a venue, which could possibly scale. All these other new things. because also every single brand gets with me 20 days a year. So that's 80 days a year. That's a lot of travel. So, and now I have a baby. I need to cut back on some of that travel, right? So either you put your prices up and cut some of your brands, which is logical, then you travel less. But since my entire persona is related to traveling and doing stuff, can't really cut that down too much. So
it's related.
I'm in a crossroads.
I know, yeah.
Right.
I live on the same on the same rail, so it's.
So the idea is to build Indie Bartender, possibly eventually to some sort of monetized model. Like we provide all this stuff for free, but if you want actual, like more personalized and more professional, and like maybe like not towers, but you get what I'm saying, right?
Yes, I get it.
Then we can, that's one of the 50 million plans for the future. There's like 5 different projects that I can work on, but that's the model. That's the business model. My initial idea was to go, right, independent bartender, this is the business model. You have to put some money in. Can I create more indie bartenders around the world? And that was the plan, kind of global bartending kind of shit. However, most people don't want to put the effort in that I put in. People aren't willing to make the sacrifice I did. And so that I had to destroy like that scalability. I couldn't convince people to save money, to put money into themselves, to possibly earn a lot more money.
Is the first step. Even just convince them that you are a brand of your own. Like whatever you do, you represent a brand of your own.
So that's my business model. It's very simple. It's financially, I'm making more money than I ever thought I would. On paper. On paper.
We are all in the same boat, so we know.
But for me, the best thing about it is now I have a mortgage, which most people don't have their own house. So if shit comes to shove, I go back to bartending, whatever, I'll be fine.
I'm skilled.
I have a home. That's all I ever wanted.
Yes.
Now the only thing I want is for my baby to have a good life.
That's great. There is no better way to finish this, but I have one last question.
Sure.
If you will go back in time, what would you change of your life?
Nothing. 0. Because if I change anything, the time, what's it called? The paradox of changing anything. You go back to kill Hitler and the world gets even worse. I am in a better place than I ever thought I could ever be. So I don't want to change anything because God knows what the consequences would be, right? I am fantastic. Am I healthy? No, I've got a doctor's appointment after this. I'm overweight. My knees don't work anymore. Whatever. I've had 5 hours sleep. Sure. But I'm doing the things I want to do. And that is what, if there's one thing I used to hate motivational speakers because they used to say this stuff, find what you love and fucking let it kill you. And I used to sit there and go, fuck you, motherfucker, you rich piece of shit. What do you mean? But I love this industry. I genuinely love this industry. And it doesn't mean you have to just pour drinks into glasses. That's just a part of it. There's a whole ecosystem around bartending that exists. The spirits world is different, but it's a part of it. Now we have social media, which is a whole new world, right? The point of it is I have found the industry that I love. And one of the reasons that I do what I do is because if this is my industry, I have to look after it, right? I have to, when you see, like one of the things that happens a lot in the industry is people sit there and they complain. This is shit, that is shit, 50 best is shit, or they're so, like whatever. They just sit and whine and whine and whine. And yeah, there's a lot of things that affect our industry that are not positive, that affect it negatively. So fuck it, I'll try and be the positive counterbalance.
Go there and do something.
Yeah, but then for me, like I'll try and do that. I'll try and be the counterbalance. I'll try and create the things. Maybe it'll fail, maybe it won't, but I tried.
Would you like to leave something to our viewer, like something like a takeaway from this podcast that you think it will be meaningful for them?
If you genuinely are willing to sacrifice and have ambitions, contact me. We'll do cool shit. Also, if you are genuinely ambitious and you try hard and you're willing to sacrifice, nothing will ever stop you to achieve whatever the fuck you want to achieve. It won't be easy. You're going to fall over a million times, but you will get there. And no bar manager or bar owner or brand ambassador that tries to do coke with you in the toilets and you refuse will ever hold you back. And now he can't use that because of the coke reference.
I will use it anyway. Here we don't cut anything.
Just fucking do it. Nike that shit.
You know
just
what?
Fucking do it.
Funny enough, we had other podcasts and there is something that just the people that are hustling hard are the doer. They just go out there and they do shit. That's what it is. You have to do shit. Well, I don't know. There is nothing else that I would like to ask you. I think you unfold quite many things today, unless you have something in your mind that you want to share it, that is your personal future plan that you would like to say it. But
future, I think there's nothing really like we're doing the thing. I think there's two things that I have a lot of thoughts every day, and I usually write them down on my Apple Notes. So there's two thoughts that came into my mind in the last couple of weeks. One of them was because of the time that we live in, right? And we're so addicted to social media, even though I talk about it in a positive view, you know, social media is empowering bartenders, but we are so affected by everything every day. You know, someone somewhere around the world in a place of power posts something and now your day is ruined or something along those lines. If you are a bartender, and I specifically mean bartender, I don't necessarily mean waiters or specifically bartenders, because we talk usually to our guests a lot more than waiters do or anyone else. We are locked in with our guests in front of our bar. One of the reasons we talk about no politics, no religion, no sports in the bar is not because those topics are not discussed in the bar. They are actually most of the time. Politics, religion, and sports is discussed in the bar almost exclusively. What does that phrase really mean? It's mean like, don't be extreme about those things. Nobody wants to go into a bar full of like idiot Millwall fans who want to have a fight, or someone who's crazy religiously about something that they want to fight the other person in the room because they have a different viewpoint. Your job as a bartender, weirdly enough, is to be like a dictator Switzerland, right? You have to stay neutral, but you have to keep every motherfucker in line, right? Because this has to be a space where they can all come together, they can share their viewpoints, and they can walk away safely. And maybe in that viewpoint exchange, this person becomes more empathetic and compassionate to the person of the other religion, or the other gender, or the other race, or whatever it is their point of discussion is. But your job is almost like to be the admin of that. If you start bringing your baggage into the bar and dictating people how they should listen, think, or whatever, you're no better than the people you criticize in positions of power. Does that make sense?
This is an advice for life.
But why I specifically am targeting the bartenders is because 150 years ago, before the social media and telephones and whatever, we were much more important in society. Bars were like the chat rooms, right? And we were the admins. So if you really want your job to improve, or if you feel like, considering that we'll always be underpaid and overworked as a profession, but if you gain kind of comfort, or you gain happiness from the interaction with people, you know what I mean? You're almost like a shepherd to society. Because no matter what they see on the internet, in real life, the context, the body language, the human interaction is different. So we need to reclaim that spot as the kind of shepherds of human beings in a positive manner, right? So get off your fucking phone, talk to people, and when you're tending bar, you're not just tending the bar top, you're tending the whole room. Learn to feel the room, feel the vibe, feel the human beings. And someone's having a bad time, how do I make sure they leave in a better place? Whatever that bad time is. Someone's having a hysterical moment because they read some fucking headline on X. Cool. How do we calm them down? How do we make them feel better about it? Or someone's sharing a beautiful moment. How do we share their happiness to everyone in the room? Does it make sense?
Absolutely, yes.
So that's one of the things I think that's the main one. That's the main one. It's empathy's bullshit, compassion is key.
You said it all. Well, Daniel, the only thing I can do right now is to thank you for your time and for sharing those wise words. I think they've been really meaningful. It's been really mystic to go through all of this with you
There's a lot.
in a really positive way. I say it. So thank you very much for real.
No worries. Thank you so much.
Meaning-
Look at the podcast. Hey!